All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American court action, and actually all subjects shall rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign, living, ancient Article 3, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan court action. We are the sovereign living justice in capitis, diminutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. I am Pauline Denise Ritchie, and my free chosen sovereign appellation is Like Tajiri Bay. Both are in capitis, diminutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, ancient empire state of Morocco. We are the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are the universal Moorish American consulate and the Article 3 Moorish American consular court. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. Okay, so today's topic is how to get monetary restitution. From our last call, we dealt with the 1010-5905 document that our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, it is said that he put this document on the public record. What we want to do is I wanted to show you where the R, because someone had asked, and I'm just kind of wrapping up any loose ends from last week. You were asking about the R that's upside down, that R on the document. That R, if you look at the Moorish sovereign that is presenting the nanny and her husband, these are wax figurines that they put on sale over there, probably a couple of years ago. And it shows where the Moor, who is dressed in Moorish regalia, has the crown on his uniform, because we're the real crown, and he's presenting the nanny, and the nanny is not wearing a crown or a tiara or anything, okay, which is appropriate when in the presence of Moors, you know, because the Moors are the nobility. And you can see on his uniform there's an R right here. This R is where the R that's at the top of the 1010-5905 document that is stated that our Prophet put on the public record, that's where that R came from. And if you'll notice on the Moor, that R is right side up, not upside down. It's right side up. Okay, and it's on his left side. Okay, and then they don't show you what's on his right side. Okay, so that's where the R comes from. They had to get permission, and this is just us. We hired a nanny to get the Moors, us, through these processes, and that's where the testing comes in at, because as you know, the policy enforcers and the fake courts and all of that, The one that's in this photo, the wax figurine that was doing business as Prince Philip, was claiming to be the Postmaster General of all corporate entities. Okay, and we know they were just acting, and they don't have any offices. We're the real Postmaster Generals. They were custodians in the office of the Postmaster General. Okay, so now you know where that R on the document came from. Okay, so with that being said, let's go into our restitution subject matter. So just one moment. Let me just a moment. Okay. Empress Cynthia, are you here? Empress Cynthia and Bay, if you could just speak briefly. Let me just see which one is you.
Okay, all right. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
All right.
Okay.
Oh no, now there's two of me.
Yeah, there is, and so one of them is not you. One of them is pretending to be you. Okay. So let me go ahead and boot that one.
There's a 7423 is my number.
Are you still? You're still here. Okay, good. I booted the other one. All right. So yes,
Right.
those are wax figures, figurines that they were putting up for sale. Oh, okay. So that is what is that's what's on the screen. Yes, Islam.
You booted me out also, because I use my laptop. I use my laptop and my phone at the same time, because if something happens, I'll be able to contact you, let you know.
Okay, and I only did it with that one line that was saying Cynthia Ann Bay when that was not her. So I didn't.
It booted me off too. So.
Oh, are you on now? Are you?
Yeah, I'm on my. See, I use my laptop.
Okay.
And my phone. So.
Okay.
Because in the past I always got knocked off like that. So that's why I'm using both.
Yeah. So do you want me to open it so that you can come in?
Yeah, on my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure that there were no. It's unlocked.
Thank you. I got it.
Okay.
Empress Light.
This
is Karima Bay in Virginia Territory. I got booted out at the very beginning too, so that may be happening.
Yeah.
And I know you have a lot to manage, but if you could keep your phone by you, because if I get booted out again, then I'll just send you a text. Thank you very much. Islam.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Islam.
Okay. The platform does do that sometimes as well. Let me see. Okay. So let's go to the restitution portion. I just wanted to clear that out so that we are not having any.
She's still on, or whoever that is.
I just booted him out.
Cynthia and May, stupid fucking cunt.
One moment.
Cynthia and May, why are you so fucking stupid?
Don't say anything, Empress. Let me get that out of here. Okay. And of course, you know, when we get to these issues, these things that we're doing right here, they, you know, it is well known that we got this wrapped up and locked up. The estate is ours. So let's keep moving forward. Okay. So right now we are in the best state in the story and history of Earth combined since time immemorial. Our ancestors planned this great wealth revelation from the beginning of time. If you have business, commercial, or merchant acumen, aspirations, and ideas, and you're ready to work with an open mind, clear energy, and sincerity in nation building, then you are the wealth. You are the future. You are the savior that the whole earth has been waiting for. The Christ energy has returned to the earth. Deuteronomy 8:18 states that we have the power to produce and generate and originate wealth. So here, have you ever been through a presumed eviction or arrest or pulled over or had a fraudulent document such as a birth certificate, driver's license, or social security card, or a false corporate court case, or been unlawfully detained, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Many, you know, I don't think there's a single one of us that has not been through something of this nature. Or if you've ever, and let me put this on here too, if you've ever received if a bill has ever been sent to the mailing location. So let's put that one on here as well. Debt of any kind. Okay, so that includes everybody. So we know that we have these 6 actions that we take in order to begin the process of remedy. Remedy is what we're focused on, restitution. Okay, there is remedy, and once remedy is gained, then restitution is in order. And we're talking financial restitution. So everything that we do starts with nationality. So naturally, the first document is going to be an appellation change document, a name change and a judicial proclamation. That is how everything is started, and that's how any other remedy is gained or any restitution is gained. It starts with nationality. Everything that we do, that is the order of the day. Nationality, and then a termination of all United States Corporation Company contracts. And I'll tell you, as we go through this, you will see why that is so important. Proclamation of trust, court action. And that's just a one-page document, affidavit, stating that you have a trust, and your trust is it's in that language that we start all of our court actions with, that states that our allegiance, our faith, our credit, our trust, and everything is in us. For we are the people who are, and then we talk about the Empire State, the government, the consulate, and all of that. Okay. And then a Universal Commercial Code 1 lien affidavit on, and it's an affidavit, so we don't use their forms for liens. It's an affidavit on the United States Corporation Company Social Security number and nom de guerre, war name, which is in all capital letters and black ink. And then the 5th is a Universal Commercial Code 1 lien affidavit on the United States Corporation Company, which you can find that under this video as well at Light Tajiri Bay channel on YouTube. And then the 6th document is the Sovereign Fiduciary Writ Affidavit. Each of these documents is an Article 3 quo warranto, mandamus, and restitutio writ affidavit. It's both a writ and an affidavit, non pro tunc. The difference between a writ and an affidavit is the affidavit simply states the truth. A writ is something that causes action and execution to happen. So you give writs to custodians in the office of sheriff, and you give writs to custodians in the office of judge, and custodians in the office of, you know, bailiffs if someone has earned arrest, etc. But that's arresting others is not really our focus. Our focus is going to be remedy and restitution for the heirs, because once we're in alignment, which we are, all of that other stuff will fall into place the way it should. Okay. So now, in order for the law to be properly executed by living executors for our vast estate, which is all of us, the law must first be established, and we are the law. So we have to establish by nationality affidavit, establish that, okay, the law is here, the law has arrived. Since we, the sovereign justices, have established that our court is the court of original jurisdiction for all matters of diversity, we can now provide remedy for said violations. Okay. Whenever you start talking about high courts, then things like the court of original jurisdiction comes in. Anytime you're talking about matters of diversity of citizenship or nationality, you're always talking about the higher courts of original jurisdiction. We are the court of original jurisdiction and court for original jurisdiction in all matters. Specifically all matters that have to do with the moors or the land or the natural resources or the commerce. So that's always going to be our court. So by Article 3 court action, we do hereby invoke Federal Rule for Civil Procedure, Title 4, Rule 18 regarding fiduciaries. And this is what it says, and we're actually putting this on the public record as our writing. We're elevating it to the law from our perspective using our own capitalism. But it says here, now this is with regard to the all capitalized name, okay? And again, as issued by the sovereign state, which is us. So whenever we talk about all caps names and doing anything with a name in all capital letters, we're always talking about an instrument that is issued by our sovereign state and not the United States Corporation Company, because the all caps nom de guerre, war name, issued by the United States Corporation Company is fraud. Okay, so it says here in FRCP Rule 18 that the all caps is and they put it right here at C, minor or incompetent person. Yes, it is. Even the living instrument that we use is a minor. And that's why we put the transfers for minors document in the 40 documents that we put under these videos and we're encouraging all Moors to put all of those documents on the public record. Okay. And I'll say this, the Moors who put it on the public record, as soon as they put it on the public record, I will say this, they get a test, and whatever it is that they were demonstrating, they also get that too. So the Moors that, like there was an empress that put the documents on, all 40-something documents on the public record. She was tested, and it was a rough test. It was a rough test. It didn't last long, but it was rough during that first 24 hours, okay? She was tested where an eviction is concerned. And once she stood on her square, they gave her back the keys to the place because she had it's her place. So we know the documents are correct. Now we just have to stand when we're tested, okay? So the fiduciary, it says a minor or incompetent person with a representative. And again, no one represents us. We are the fiduciaries for the minor or all caps incompetent person. Okay. So a like fiduciary means a fiduciary that has the same nature. Okay. So we cannot be the authorized representative of a straw. A straw is a dead corpse issued by the United States Corporation Company that is a nom de guerre war name. We cannot, if it's issued by them, it's fraud and we cannot use it. We must create our own. And that is what the fiduciary document does, and we'll pull that document up here shortly. So we then and do hereby, and this is a court action that we're doing right now because we're going to bring up some documents and things to show you how to get the remedy and restitution for any actions that you may think has been aimed at you when really they're talking to the dead. Okay, so what we do is lean all of that deadness and that corpse and corporate behavior. Okay, and then we use this to put the proper all capitalized instrument into the process. And when we do that, we can invoke sovereign nationality for us. And we can say the fiduciary is a sovereign Moorish American national, therefore our courts get to decide, and that's according to the treaty. So the Treaty for Peace and Friendship, once we have substituted, okay, we've used the fiduciary document. Let's say, for example, you get a ticket or something like that. A fraudulent corpse has handed you a ticket. You do the 6 documents that we just talked about right here. Do these 6, and that fiduciary document is going to then make it so that you can invoke Rule 18, a like fiduciary. And again, you write this out the way that we write things out. You can put it in blue. And notice they put fiduciary in all lowercase letters. They did not put it in capital letters. They didn't even start it with a capital letter. Okay, so we're rewriting this and putting it out here properly. Okay, so then you invoke this rule here, and then you get to determine what happens with the all caps name. We're going to show you how to do that today too. So if the treaty says, Article 20 of the treaty says, if any of the citizens of the United States, and again, we are the original states united. We've always been the original states united. So that's why we lean the dead one. It says, if this is the treaty, it says, if any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection, your all caps that you place on the fiduciary document is a person under your protection. Okay, you're not the same as that all caps. Okay, you're not the same as the all caps. The all caps is a servant to you and a minor and an incompetent, but that you get to determine what happens with it. But you must put it on the fiduciary document and lean that fraudulent dead one that's been running around pretending to be you. So if any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties. And whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted to him. Hold on for just one. So, okay. With regard to the all caps on our fiduciary documents, that is actually a living instrument. Okay, that's a living instrument, and so we just use that. We take the fraudulent one out because we've leaned it, Okay, and then we put the true instrument in so that we can dictate and our courts take over from there. Okay. So now, the consul shall decide any controversy between Moors and citizens. Okay. Next, we, the consuls, and this is the order that remedy and restitution goes in. Okay. Next, we, the consuls and justices, invoke the Article 3 Consular Court Fiduciary Quo Warranto Mandamus Restitutio, which is the fiduciary document which properly identifies the parties where capitalism is concerned. So when the fake corporate corpses put, for example, Pauline Denise Ritchie, when they put it on a piece of paper, it's fraud because they don't have the authority to produce anything living. Okay. So then with them being liened, I can look at the paper that's there, and then I say, okay, let me do an affidavit presenting the real instrument that is Pauline Denise Ritchie. So, and we're going to do that today. The fiduciary document states that all capitalized instruments are issued by this United States and not the fraudulent United States Corporation Company. Okay, these States United are the real ones. We're the living. Since we are the sovereign fiduciary, just one moment. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anything. Okay. I'll get to the questions in the chat shortly, and we may even answer them along the way. So the fiduciary document states that all capitalized instruments are issued by this United States and not the fraudulent United States Corporation Company. Since we are the sovereign fiduciaries, we're also the sovereign consuls according to the treaty and our documents and our statements, and we're the sovereign justices. We provide our own remedy just as we are doing here today. And then when you add what we're doing today to the 1010-5905 document as published by this Congress, then we've created the pathway to remedy. So we're going to actually do a court action today and put all of this into action for you so that you can see how to do it for yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the documents from when I was detained in the POW camps about a year and a half ago. I tell you, I love how our ancestors have put all of this together because they're brilliant. Our ancestors are brilliant. They're brilliant. So let me start here at the top, and I'm going to make this bigger so we can see it. Okay. So as you all may or may not know, about a year and a half ago, and we've done videos on it and posted everything. We've posted these documents on the public record as well, so that you can see them. So we were on the property, our property, of a building here at our territory, and we were just doing a little cleanup there, and the policy enforcers came, and of course we did not speak at all. We just went about doing what we were doing, and they detained, okay, me. And so when they detained me, this was this was right when the ancestors were starting to reveal the court action language to me about all rise and stand. Okay, so we did not say all rise and stand on this day, on this first day. And so they detained me, and this is the documents coming from that. Well, who is this? Pauline, this Ritchie, Pauline D. See, that's military language right there. So they're saying that one of their military corpses did something. They're not even talking about us now, Morris, because they can't speak to the living. So they're showing that their corpse was detained, and they put some information on here. Okay, and if you'll notice here, it says black, so we know they're not talking about us. They're talking about their corpse. So this is one of the this is the citation, and I'm showing you this. Notice this number right here, this citation number, because we're going to come back to that. And as you know, we leaned and did all the things that we needed to do. This was them shuffling me around under the, and I wasn't under it, but they were trying to claim that this was me. Okay, Ritchie, Pauline Denise. Okay. So, of course, we stood on our square, and it was a beautiful demonstration for us. We wouldn't change a thing. If we had to do it all over again, we wouldn't change it, because the ancestors showed us so much during this time. So this is what they put, and again, their corpses and corporations, they put it in black ink and capital letters and all of that. Okay, and this is, it says mandatory in-person or Zoom court appearance. When they say in person, they're saying their person, not you, their corpse, their person. A person, this is a person right here, Ritchie, Pauline Denise, in black ink as issued by them, is a dead person. Okay, so they put these documents here and then signed it in blue. Okay, quite a few things they had put with that. This one right here, this is all part of the same. No, this is from a previous, this was the demonstration that I did in 2017. I put them all together, okay, because the ancestors wanted to show us how to deal with these things and how to get the restitution and the remedy that we deserve. So they gave them all the same number, and look here, bail amount 500, et cetera, and of course, you know, we don't pay them fiat to do anything. And to this day, we've not given them any fiat with regard to any of this. Okay, all we did was stand on our square like we're supposed to, and let the ancestors show us what we need to see. So you can see here they've got some other the same things. Now look here, they put, now this is a different type of person than the one that's on the previous document, because this is Pauline Ritchie instead of Ritchie, Pauline Denise. So now what are they doing? There's a bit of an echo coming from somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, there's an echo coming from somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and put an and star 6 there. Okay, so what they did was they arrested their military corpse, but then
Miss Black Lady, that is you.
The one that they doing the just one moment. The one that they're doing the court action on, their fake corporate court action on, just one moment. The one that they're doing their fake court action on is not the same. This is not a military person. This is a civilian, according to them. Okay, so what they do is they war against their own instruments, their own persons. So this person has been removed from their military status and put in dead person status. Okay, dead military person. That is literally killing their corpse. So when you hear them talk about civil war and all these people were killed in the Civil War, this is what they're talking about. Is them using capitalism on people and then changing their quote-unquote identity. Now, we know this is not us, but if we didn't know that wasn't us, then we would think that, yes, they're doing all this stuff and there's nothing we can do about it. This is war on their part, but we're not at war. Let's make that clear. We're at peace. So let's continue. They put some things here. We did not go to their fake courts. So they put, we just did court actions. This is the time when the ancestors said, okay, this is what you say. Yes, do your court actions, but then put all rise and stand in front of it. And then when I started saying all rise and stand, they couldn't do anything. They could not move. They couldn't even come in the cell because the cell is actually a courtroom. And we talked about the cell and what it has a bar in it. All cells have a bar in it. All cells have a bench. Some call it a bed. It's a bench. That's why they keep putting them like that, because it's a bench. And it's actually a courtroom. So, of course, they put what they wanted to put in. They were talking about a guy, a dead corpse guy. Defendant has displayed delusional behavior and counsel has not been able to have any substantive discussion with the defendant about his case. The defendant cannot assist in his defense in counsel's opinion. So you know they're not talking about us. And they knew they weren't, and we knew that they were not talking about us. So what did we do? Continue to stand on our square. And so then what happens is they say, okay, well, we still haven't gotten jurisdiction over her. So we're going to have to talk about our corpse and do what we're going to do with our corpse. And we're going to have to find a way to get her out of here. Okay? Because if they didn't have, since they didn't have jurisdiction, and since there was no court case or anything, because I was doing court actions, they said, we can't say that we're releasing her on jail issues and putting her on probation and all of that. We can't do that because we don't have jurisdiction. So what did they do? They said, okay, well, the only way we can get her out of here is to do a medical furlough order on their corpse still, but except they're saying, okay, our corpse is not dead, our corpse is alive, so they put it in blue. Okay, and again, this is still not talking about me because I didn't issue it. They did. So they said, we got to get her out of here. We can't keep her, so we're going to have to just, this is the only way that our system will allow us to get her out of here. Okay, so this is what they did. They said medical furlough order. Now, think about it more. We've been saying that the one that they were talking to in their system is a military person. So what did they do? Put their corpse on furlough as if they're employing somebody, right? Without giving them a paycheck. So we leaned everyone and everything. We leaned the courts doing business at City of Federal Way. We leaned them. We leaned the the one that was in doing business as police chief, we leaned the corporate covering off of that custodian. We leaned the corporate covering off of all the custodians there. The one doing business as mayor, we leaned that corpse so that a living custodian could appear there. Okay. And then even when they issued this, no one signed it. They didn't want to. No one wanted to take responsibility. No one signed it. And of course, we don't sign any of the things that they do. We don't sign any of that. We didn't even sign for, you know, anything, period. So now, how do we get remedy on this? What did we do? We said, okay. And this is what we're doing today. We're doing a court action on this incident right here so that you can see how to do it and how to get remedy and restitution. So since they never got jurisdiction over me, the living, okay, then what do? We leaned everyone, of course. And now we do a court action on them, and there's a court action out there. Okay, but this is an additional court action with regard to this event here. So now, this is their capitalism and what they were doing to their corpse. Okay, so now what do? We say, okay, this is fraud. Let's present the real in ligas, the creation for the law. Okay. So we do that by way of the fiduciary document. So let's go to the fiduciary document. Okay, and again, we've leaned Pauline Denise Ritchie that they were using because that's their fake fraudulent creation. So we leaned that one, and that court action is out there on the public record as well. We also leaned the Social Security number that they were putting all of this under. Okay, because it's not showing up on this paper, but they were using their fraudulent Social Security number that they created. So we have to lean all of that stuff out of the way and put our instruments in there so that our court can take over. This is how you do a removal. Our court has to take over, but it cannot take over if we're still talking about their instruments. We have to put the real instruments there. And that's according to that federal rule for civil procedure that says that a fiduciary must present this minor incompetent. Okay. So now let's look at the fiduciary document really quickly so that you can see why we lean them and get them out of the way and then put our actions in there so that our court can take over from there. Okay. Because once we put our instruments in there, they don't have jurisdiction over the all caps because it's our all caps, not theirs. It was created on our land, not theirs. And they don't have any land. They just exist on paper and not even there anymore. So let's take a look at the fiduciary document really quickly. And I believe this is it. Yes. So with regard to this cause here, where Pauline Denise Ritchie, the real instrument, we're putting the real Pauline Denise Ritchie instrument into this court action here, so that our court can take over. So now when we do that and we notify them that our court has taken over by quo warranto, mandamus restitutio, okay, and the fiduciary is now in place according to the law, and now that there is this is the real Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio, minima, media, maxima, nolo, etc. Okay, so now now the sovereign state is in control and in charge of the all caps because it's right here. We leaned the other one out of the way, and now we're in control of this. So now that we're in control of this, this is not a straw. This is not a nom de guerre. This, because we're at peace, we're not at war. A nom de guerre is a war name. We're at peace. So this is a peaceful instrument, natural peaceful instrument. This is what's called a natural person. Okay, in all capital letters, that's a natural person when it's done by us. When it's done by dead corpses, they can only produce dead corpses. So what we're doing now is saying, okay, today we substitute. We're putting in the fiduciaries for the Empire State are putting in, and for these United States, not those, not the dead ones, is putting the real Pauline Denise Ritchie into that action. Where our court, that's how you do a removal into our courts. Okay, that is a competent removal. So no one has to do that for you. You can remove your own cases. And it's not really even a removal. It's a removal of you as the living and your living instruments, because our living instruments cannot be in their courts. They can't see you in propria persona sui juris. They're blind to that. That's why we have to do it. So when we lien Pauline Denise Ritchie as issued by them, that's part of the removal process. And then you say, okay, we're going to take these numbers, those numbers that they did, that they had called cause numbers or case numbers, we're going to take those and put them in red or blue, and we're going to produce them ourselves because we liened them, so they can't move any further. Okay. So now what have we done? We've put the real Pauline Denise Ritchie into our court action, and we've elevated any controversy. So now diversity of nationality and diversity of citizenship is in play. It's on the table. When the treaty talks about a conflict between a Moor and a citizen, it's really talking about a conflict between us, the living, and the all caps. Who's presenting the all caps? That is diverse. Diverse means two words. That means there's a splitting of the words. People are using the same sound, what sounds like the same words, but they're not the same. There's a split. Diverse, two words. So that's what real diversity is all about. It's whose capitalism is being used in this action. Well, we don't have to ask anybody about that. All we do is lien the fakes that are pretending to control and govern our resources. Our all caps ens legis, which is a creation by the state and for the living state, is a resource for us. That's where we manifest in this dimension and tell that thing, tell the all caps, okay, go get this resource, go collect that resource, go do this, go do that. But it has to be done by us. So today we're substituting in the right Pauline Denise Ritchie, and not the dead one, but the living. And then what do? Now that we have done that, we issue the ruling. Okay. So when we issue the ruling, Moors, I would like you all to help with this ruling. Okay. Let me make sure that, okay, so just one moment, let me make sure. Okay, so now what are we saying? We're saying that the real instrument in all capital letters that you see on the screen, this Pauline Denise Ritchie right here, has the nature of her fiduciary. That means that they violated the law. by detaining the living and using their capitalism. Nunc pro tunc, they violated the law, right? We know that. So our court is issuing a ruling, a verdict on this case. Now we issued this before. We issued a verdict before, but we wanna show you how to get your remedy and your restitution. So let's go back to our document here. Since we see what the fiduciary document looks like, we know what it looks like, and it will be under this video as well. Okay, so now we have the fiduciary. Now, City of Federal Way Corporation is within King County Corporation. Okay. So on our fiduciary document, and yours does not necessarily have to have this, but I did it because we could do it, because the ancestors, you know, showed us how. On our fiduciary document, let me go back. The City of Federal Way Corporation is within King County Corporation. So with them being within that other corporation, oops, not that one, this one, let's see. I think it's this, oh yeah, this is what I want. Okay. So with them being in King County Corporation, all we did was issue the fiduciary document and then get the King County, this is King County Superior Court. There's a stamp here, and we told you about how we got these stamps. We just went in and we went to the same places that landlords and all those that were pretending to be landlords, they have a place, they have a counter where they leave the stamps out so that those who are the real judges and justices, which is us, who need these, and we don't need them, but we put these lower or constitutionally inferior courts stamps on here because, again, corporations speak to corporations. Subjects and custodians speak to other subjects and custodians. Okay? And so now, City of Federal Way, which is within King County Corporation, okay, and again, that was only existing on paper. Now we have King County saying, well, wait a minute, Federal Way, City of Federal Way Corporation, this, she's a fiduciary and they are a sovereign state. This is the Moors. The Moors are a sovereign state. So what you did was a violation because you used capital letters and you detained the living when they have their own capitalism and they tell their capitalism what to do and how to, you know, what benefits to go and recoup. So now that we have said, okay, proper notification has gone out, and we're now ruling because now we have the natural person there. And with the natural person being now being presented, we can say, okay, the natural person is not guilty of trespass or any crimes because it's our land. There's your remedy. The natural person is not guilty of any crimes because the fiduciary is a natural living Moor who is, they're the heirs and the owners of all land. So then we're issuing that verdict here today that not guilty because we have the right natural person in the action, and our court is speaking. We're not asking them to do anything because we don't have to ask. Our court issues, and then we send the documentation to notify them that this is what has happened, that the natural person, Pauline Denise Ritchie, is not guilty of any trespass or anything, and because we have this evidence of fraud, because our documents are nunc pro tunc, meaning now for then. So even if you were not declared more at the time, it doesn't matter. It's still nunc pro tunc, now for then. Soon as because jurisdiction can be invoked at any time. We've always been the heirs and the owners of all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. So you can go back, and any violations, you can come, put the documents on the public record, proclaim that you're not guilty, not you, because you never were charged with anything, okay? But that your instrument, your all capitalized instrument, it's a state instrument. Yes, in the chat, there is no statute of limitations on fraud. Correct. And so your state instrument is not guilty of anything because they had the wrong person. They had the wrong person. And as you know, where court actions are concerned, proper identification of the parties is step one. You cannot proceed in any court action until you properly identify the parties. Well, they're not competent to properly identify us. We have to self-identify. And then when you look back on these documents and charges and things where they charged their corpse, let's take a look again at what they were really saying, because they were actually, when I look back at this, some may not see this, but this is what I see. When I look back at what they were doing here, it's almost as if they were trying to tell us, okay, let me make sure you can see that also. Okay, it's almost like they were trying to tell us. Can you all see the City of Federal Way municipal court, corporate court thing that they have that's on the screen? I just want to be sure you can see it. Okay, but if you look here, let me go down here. They were saying here, false statement to a public servant. False statement to a public servant. What they're saying is the wrong state. They're saying you can't use our capitalism to save yourself. You got to get your own capitalism, or else the state of your mental is going to be false. And they're here admitting that they're public servants. Okay. And they did a couple of those. Let's see, one said, yeah, cash bond, whatever, 2,000, whatever. And of course, we never, ever gave any of that because we were not contracting with them. Okay. So again, we just stood on our square and stood, and we were in there for 11 days, actually 10 days and some change. And a few hours, 10 days and a few hours. If you look in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, we should have known we were only going to be in there 10 days if we stood, which we did. Because in Revelations, it talks about being in jail for 10 days in these times, but we just have to stand competently. So here, they're saying criminal trespass, 2nd degree. Well, their corpse is a criminal. If it's issued by them, that's an automatic criminal. They get to say what happens with their they're Ritchie, Pauline Denise, because they have this dead corpse listed as a defendant. And a minor cannot defend themselves. That's why they put attorneys on all of this stuff. But we, of course, we don't do attorneys, so we didn't. Okay? So we just stood. Stood on our square, did not attend their fake tribunals because, again, we knew they were not talking to us. So now, Moors, the remedy is that our courts we put our capitalism in place, and then we look at what's being said all over again through the right lens, through the right eye. We get to see, okay, is what they're saying true about our instruments? Pauline Denise Ritchie in all capital letters is on my fiduciary document, so I'm the fiduciary for that instrument. Now, was that instrument on her own land? Even on paper, yes. So today we issue the verdict of not guilty. And it's not even not guilty, it's you never had jurisdiction. That's really what we're doing. Is they never had jurisdiction was never proven. Never proven. So the living was indeed violated. Okay? According to the law, I was violated for being taken there for 10 days, 10 and a half days. Okay? But we're not mad about that because we're also going to issue another ruling, some restitution. So before we issue restitution, are there any questions about what we're showing you so far about how to remedy what's going on? And then based on your ruling and your remedy and your judgment, you can issue restitution you must issue restitution. And we're going to show you how to do that too. So up to this point, where remedy is concerned, are there any questions about that? You can star 6 if you have any questions about that, about how to save yourself when things like this happen. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be a light bill or anything. We still have to do the same thing. Put the right person in there, according to the fiduciary document. Put a living person, a living natural person there. Then look at the facts again according to what you know about us and about the law. We're the creditors, so we couldn't possibly owe anything to anyone. And in fact, they owe us. So now let's go to the restitution part. We've issued our ruling. We state that our living natural person is not guilty because we're on our own land and the Constitution is 100% being enforced. So I will say this about the building that we were at. The building that we were at had some occupiers in it. We put that video out there because as we went in, we were recording with our phones and we uploaded that video onto social media. So you could see that there were some foreigners in there, some foreign occupiers in there. By the time the 10 days was up and we had stood on our square and gotten back to our domicile, they were out of there, completely out, and the place was marked vacant. Now, I find it very odd that on the ticket it says vacant when they knew there was someone unlawfully occupying in there. We have video of them. So they waited until later to put that the building was vacant. But when they looked on the public record and saw what we did, because we actually did video showing the title to the building and all of that. So they had to get out. And they put the international symbol for vacancy on the building. So now what are we doing? What we're doing now is issuing remedy with regard to the building, because we know the building is ours. We know that already. So where I would like to get at least 2 or 3 witnesses on the court action that we just did, proclaiming that Pauline Denise Ritchie, which is an instrument of the Empire State, is not guilty. Do we have any witnesses who will just say, Islam, we witnessed this court case? And you can just start speaking.
Islam.
Islam,
not guilty.
Islam.
Witness.
Innocent.
Islam.
Islam, not guilty.
What's wrong with him?
Islam.
Innocent.
Islam, not guilty.
Islam.
Islam, not guilty.
Islam.
Islam, confirmed, not guilty.
Islam, not guilty.
Islam,
Not guilty.
Islam, not guilty.
Islam, not guilty.
Do you know that you're a jury of my peers?
That's right.
that's right.
Islam.
Islam, no jurisdiction, therefore not guilty.
Not guilty. Islam.
Peace
and love, more.
Listen, this is the first time that a true jury of our peers has actually spoken on the public record. That's what has me in tears. I'm excited about that.
Ashe.
So
Thank
now,
you. I know what this means.
yes, this is. Anyway, I could go all day about that one. And actually, Justice J. Michael, that's good. Innocent is the proper term. Our intention is what counts. So, not guilty is good too for us, because our intention is to enforce the law. Innocent is a better word, and so in the future we'll use that, innocent. The only reason I had any reservation about the word innocent is because in the Biblioheliothex, whenever it talks about innocence, it talks about children, and we're not children. So we would have to spell it a little differently so that it means free from sin. That's really what it means, free from sin. So with the not guilty verdict, or the innocent or free from sin verdict, okay, we are awarding Pauline Denise Ritchie, in all capital letters, as according to the fiduciary document, we are awarding Pauline $100 million in gold-backed Moorish sovereign dollarium, or real money, okay, or credits, however you want to, however Pauline Denise Ritchie, in all capital letters, chooses to use that, she can use it. So now, what does that look like? Because some have been asking about bank accounts and things like that. Well, some Moors don't have bank accounts and things like that, but some have been put into those, have had cause numbers or quote unquote case numbers. So here's what we do for that. Whenever our courts speak, okay, and the fiduciary speaks, and we have our own everything, these actions then affirm that because we stuck to the treaty, okay, where issues between citizens and Moors, whenever that happens, the consuls are to decide. So we've done that. We stuck to the treaty. We're enforcing the Constitution, and we're also enforcing natural law because everything that we do comes in threes. So then what? These actions then affirm that we have full authority to create our merchant cards and that they be honored at all venues on our land. To ensure that our cards are honored, we do our due diligence and reversion cards according to the systems that we're accessing. Okay? We create the cards according to the systems that we are accessing. What does that look like? Well, we saw that they used a cause number or case number. Once we lien them, then we create our own cause or case number. It looks exactly like the one that they had, except they're not the fiduciaries of the one we create because we lien them their debtors. So now what do we do now that we've liened them? We know they're debtors. We've issued our own documents and our own law. We create a merchant card, and this merchant card if you look carefully at this card, it says prepaid. Here, let's make it as big as we can possibly make it. It has $100 million on it. It has, the card number is cause 1A0250975 because a jury of my peers has ruled on this, and I'm the justice as well. And so we took and made it so that the capitalism is under our sovereign state now. And then it says here, City of Federal Way, and then it has Pauline Ritchie. Okay, so now how do we use this card? Well, we use this card to get the building, we send it to them, and we say, okay, it's been proven that the Pauline Ritchie on this card was violated. So we're going to send a copy of the card with a copy of our moorishe ID and the documents, and they already have all these documents with the exception of the card. And we're going to send a copy of this card, and we're going to say, not only, listen to me, Morris, not only are we accepting the value of the building, we accept the building for value, but what we're also going to do is tell the City of Federal Way to make some improvements on it. If it needs a new roof, put it on there. If it needs any maintenance or if it needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, City of Federal Way is on the custodians. Because again, remember, we're the City of Federal Way. We're the head of that. So now we're just saying, custodians, fix it. And that's what custodians do. Think about if you've ever seen a custodian in a school building. What are they doing? Fixing things, cleaning things up, putting in new things. If it needs a new sink, put in a new sink. If it needs a new whatever, put that in. And listen, when you do it that way, Morris, we already know it's going to be up to code. Right? Yes. Islam.
Yes, it's going to be up to code. I concur, Empress.
So This is also how you get them to cut the grass and do all of that stuff. You just tell them, cut the grass every 2 weeks or whenever it as needed and all of that. So we're going to send an affidavit with our sovereign commands on it and a copy of the card and a copy of our moorishe ID, a copy of the fiduciary document. This evidence here is on the public record because this is going to go up on the public record. And so we have automatically given ourselves. And they can't say, listen, they run money, not money, they were running fiat through their fake courts using these numbers. So we already know that funding can go through there. Let's see. How did you find the proper term for custodian instead of the title they have given themselves? So according to the Constitution talks about offices. It talks about office of profit, office of honor, and office of trust in the Constitution. Those offices are mentioned there. Well, they don't have any offices because they don't have the authority to occupy any offices. We've not given them, because see, if we put them as the head of something, then they'll be governing over the resources of Moors, and that cannot be. That's against the law.
They'll usurp again.
Yes, the Moors must, because see, the heads of all offices are actually judges issuing court actions. All CEOs were actually judges or acting as judges. And that's another reason why, or either they were acting on the orders of the ones that were doing business as Congress, because, and if you know anything about those that were faking, they all were bar members, all of them, and pretending to govern this land. And corporations do what the Congress tells them to do. And then in the Constitution, it talks about appropriations. And whenever you talk about appropriations, someone has to be the head of the either the receiving appropriation or something, or the head of those who are issuing the funds. Just one moment. Okay. So here, let me unlock. I'm going to unlock the meeting. Those who want to come in can come in. Islam. So now all we're doing is turning right around and making good use of the numbers that are available to us. Now, let me show you, that is how you get restitution, because remember, they don't have anything to give you. Everything in the way of sovereign living resources has to come from the Moors. It has to come from us. They don't have the authority to do anything else. Okay? So now, someone asked about, before we started recording, one of the empresses asked about, like, she had been in a conveyance accident. Let me show you some of the instruments that we have leaned, and we're going to create prepaid cards for them using the proper systems. Because because a couple of years back we said that we were going to we did a video saying that the commerce system belongs to the Moors. Okay. The number on the card, Empress in the chat, the number on the card is actually, it's 1A0250975. So here, let me show you where that number came from. Let me show you where that number came from. Yes. That number came from just one moment. That number came from right here.
Islam. I asked because you know, everyone has an X reference number, and I wanted to know if I could put that on my termination of contracts.
When you say X reference number, what do you mean?
So in California, it's like a debtor's instrument. It's a number.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Hey Pauline, can I meet you at a conveyance manufacturing plant so you can buy your free conveyance?
Yes, you can do that.
I'll record it. I'll record it.
One moment. That's not. Yep, you can do that.
Let me meet you at a conveyance manufacturing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So.
I'll record it for you, Pauline.
One moment. Let me get rid of that. There you go. Okay. So again, those numbers, that number that's on the card came from the cause that our court did, because we leaned them.
This is all fucking bullshit, people. This black lady is leading you down the wrong path. This is all bullshit. Mrs. Black Lady, shut up, Pauline.
Just one moment. Okay. So
none of her bullshit works. This is all phony bullshit, you guys. Pauline's got three $5,000 warrants out for her arrest.
Blah, blah, blah. Just
Pauline, why aren't you taking over?
There you go. Okay. So, of course they don't want us to do this, but we're going to continue. Okay. So,
no, you're wrong.
This right here. This right here. I love this. I love this work. Okay. So that is where the number on the card came from. Because see, remember, all judges are bankers. Okay? So all they were doing is opening accounts. That's what they were modeling and acting out. Every one of these numbers that you see on the screen is a bank account number. So when they call it a cause number or a case number or all of that, that's a bank account number. So when they say a statement, we have to state, in other words, put it in the right state. Put the matter in the right state. Okay? And so when it's in the right state, we can provide remedy for ourselves. Okay? We provide remedy for ourselves. And when we do it that way, Moors, then guess what happens with those that were previously the custodians in the office of the police? When you get the custodians that are in the office of the city, when you get them doing what they're supposed to be doing, then the policy enforcers then become law enforcement, because a Moor is at the head of the city. That's actually how we were supposed to do all of this, is we have to be the head of everything, and that's not something that you ask somebody for. And you don't have to run for office. Run for office. Who does that? We are the office. And so you send, once you do, listen, the lien process, lien by affidavit. And this is another reason why you don't use their forms to do anything. You don't use their UCC forms. Don't use them. You know why? Because if you use their UCC forms, then they will think that you're a citizen, someone in their citizen. Now, I'll say this about that. At some point, when we have better overstanding across the board of capitalism and how we've taken control of our own capitalism, which means we get to say what happens with correcting the records and all of that. As we do this, the record is going to be corrected on that other end, so that if we want to use those forms, we can, but affidavits must be at the foundation of everything. Those 40-something documents must be on the public record, and they must have them in their hands. Now, I don't trust their forms at all, so I'm never going to use them. I'm never going to use them. And I would suggest, because we speak by affidavit.
I never use them either.
That's just me. You know, our affidavits are good enough. In fact, they supersede any of that. And anybody that has something competent to say will use an affidavit. Forms are actually for minors, for children. So, you know, the system is set up for us, but we had to correct everything in it because it was so corrupt. So what did we do? Lean all of that. And then present the real, and then move forward. Now, let me show you some of the other, let's see. Let me show you some of the other court actions that we are doing with regard to cards and, you know, the things that we need, okay? So we have the judgment on the City of Federal Way, because, again, we are the head of all of that. But these are some of the other court actions that we're doing. This one on the left is Walmart. They have cards. Well, those cards are issued by a corporation pretending to govern. So what are we going to do? A lien for unlawful occupation? If you've ever, let's say, sent a Western Union at that place, or you gone through their cash register and swiped the card or anything, in their documentation, they have an all caps name associated with that sale. Well, that's the wrong state. So you just lien them because you were doing things there because it's a resource on your land, but nunc pro tunc for all that we've done. Now for then, lien them, and then this card right here, this Walmart thing, our ancestors are just, they know everything. I was walking through a field here, and it was by a baseball diamond, okay, where they play baseball. And I found 2 Walmart gift cards, quote unquote, and they hadn't been scratched off. That's what this is. They're still not scratched off. The back end of the card is still not scratched off. Because I was not going to use it, but the ancestor said, just keep them and hold them and we'll show you how to use them. And this was about a year ago when we knew we were doing banking things. So I said, well, maybe there's something on this card that we can look at and as we are setting up our banking system and see how, you know, maybe tap in and see how to use it. You know, not the card, but the system was what we were looking at. Or how to, because I was thinking we were going to create our own, but we don't have to. It's already available to us. We just have to take that corporate covering off of it. There's a series of numbers on the back of this card, okay, that can be, you can create a merchant card from it, okay, because in reality, we're the head of Walmart. We've always been the CEO of Walmart. They used every brick, every watt of electricity, every piece of paper, every bit of energy, every item came from our vast estate. And so when you lien these numbers that they have introduced on this card, when you lien the numbers and or just lien Walmart, period. That's going to cover everything. You lien Walmart. You don't necessarily have to lien the numbers. You can lien Walmart. And when you lien them, they're a debtor to you, okay? And then you create your card from that unlawful occupation type situation by court action. And when you do that and you create your $100 million card, see, these are discount cards, meaning it's going to take something off when you load it up the right way. So that's why we have to notify the custodians at the office of the CEO of Walmart, notify them with a copy of our merchant card that we create, and you put Walmart on the card in capital letters so that you know, because I'm seeing that my cards are starting to stack up. And so you notify them, and then whenever you go to Walmart, you show, or you go online. And I think, let me see, I'll have to see how that works. But however they use these cards, we're able to use our cards. Except that our cards don't have barcodes and things like that on them. That's why we send those cards a copy of our card that we've created, along with the lien, the court actions, and the fiduciary document, and all of that, and our proper identification, and all of that. We send that to the headquarters and tell them that on this day, you're going to go in and use your card, and everything should be as it should be, or will be as it should be. Everything will be as it should be. So, and I don't know. And again, we're walking through these demonstrations all at this time as well. So then here's this card next to the Walmart card is a Hilton Honors Card. That's for hotel stay. We know all hotels belong to the Moors. We know that. And you can do a court action. And if you've ever stayed at a hotel, even if you don't have a Hilton Honors Card, if you've ever stayed at one, they assign a bank account number to that so that they can get do the exchanges. At the top of the document where you stayed at the hotel, they have a number up there. It's a confirmation number. Well, for us, that's an affirmation of our vast estate. So we can use that number to create our card. Okay. I just so happen to have had this one. I've had it for many, many years, probably about 15 years or so, maybe, if not more. I don't remember exactly how long I've had it, but I know it's been a long time. I forgot I had it until the ancestors had me to go through a drawer and all of that stuff popped up. This right here is a Office Depot card. On the back of it, it has some numbers on it where they're giving original issue discounts. So for those talking about a 1099 OID, your merchant card is the way that gets put back to you. Okay? And so you can use any discount card so that the original issue discount is applied, which is 100% of any sales. Okay, 100%. We're never to pay anything like that on our vast estate because we issued the original. And we're the CEO of Office Depot. Same thing here with Macy's. This card has numbers on the back of it. Okay, so if there's anything that we need from there, we can do our merchant card, do a lien, and then send it to the custodians in the office of, and then proceed with whatever it is that we need. And the best way that I can see to get what we need is to go online and whatever you see on there that you want, print it off, okay, and craft an affidavit and put whatever you printed off by affidavit and then send it, or deliver it to the store. Because again, those are our resources. Always have been. So I would print something off and then deliver the affidavits with again, we've been already doing postmaster duties. This is not any different from what we've been doing. Okay. This is for the grocery store and PayPal. Okay. With PayPal, again, you can use that to get whatever it is you need to get. There's some numbers on the back of this, so you can create a merchant card from this. Lien in place first and nationality in place first. Okay. This is for the grocery store. Grocery stores have all these club cards and this and that and the third. You can create a merchant card from these numbers. And then notify. And then you have to do like any other nobility would do, Morris. Nobility, whenever nobility is going somewhere, they have to announce they're coming. Okay? The Christ doesn't just show up. You don't know the day nor the hour, but you know the Christ is returning. And so we do our best to notify. Okay. But after a while, they'll get used to it. We're just training them, okay, to know that the Christ has returned. When you're talking about insurance, Empress, the Empress that was talking about the insurance piece, you create your merchant card from the information that comes from these cards. Okay, you create your merchant card, except when you create your merchant card, you instead of an expiration date, you can put an effective date. Okay, an effective date where insurance is concerned. So it's effective, and put the whole date out, you know, effective January, or you can put it even, you can put April the 4th, 1776. You can put that as an effective date. You can put the date that the treaty was signed as an effective date. You can put the date that the Constitution was signed as an effective date. You can put the date that you declared your nationality as an effective date for anything that you're doing, any of the merchant cards. Now, this card right here, Morris, this card, it says Prestige. This is the card, and I was wondering why the ancestors had me to keep it. But when I was in the POW camp back in 2017, this is what came from that. They issued this right here. And back then, I didn't know nearly as much as I know now. But when they issued this card, it was for phone calls. Well, we're going to issue a merchant card for $100 million for that too, so that any Moors who are in these places here, or anyone interested in declaring their nationality, can call whoever they need to call, including the consulate, using the numbers that's on that card right there. I'm going to issue a merchant card, and that merchant and send it out to all everybody, policy enforcers, the custodians in the office of warden, the custodian in the office of, so that we can get the Moors can get out of there without contracting with them. Because as you know, when I did the POW demonstration in a year and a half ago, I didn't even call my consort because I was not going to contract with them. I didn't even call him, and fortunately, he knew. He knew because he knows me. You know, he knows that I will demonstrate, and whatever it takes is what it takes. And he knew I was not going to be in there. And I believe that was an ancestor thing. The ancestors calmed him and gave him the peace that he needed to just, you know, chill. So, but now we have the remedy. So we get to provide the remedy. That merchant card right there is part and parcel of this court action that we did today. So for Moors who need to get groceries, okay, these, go to the store and just tell them, hey, y'all got one of those cards? And they hand them out like water. You don't have to sign anything. They just hand them. The discount cards or whatever, club cards or whatever. Costco, the big box stores, Sam's, the grocery stores, any of those. You can craft a merchant card from these numbers. And that way you know that the system will work the way it's supposed to work for the creditors and the CEOs and the justices and the judges. So when you saw, okay, that's a great question. Justice Akil says, what if you stop paying your conveyance insurance and the custodians, just one moment, let me see if I can see the rest of the question. And the custodians instead, let's see, and the custodians canceled my policy. Now did they cancel your policy or the policy on their corpse?
I guess the policy on the corpse.
Okay, then there's a living policy that needs to be created. So yes, they don't, again, when it comes to banking, there's a reason why they do not turn around and assign those same numbers to somebody else. The policy is yours. The benefit is yours. That policy that they created is their policy, but the benefit is yours. So what do? Lien them. And then create an affidavit that says, that tells you, that says that you've studied the policies and you know what to put in your affidavit so that your affidavit is complete. And with regard to policies and things like that, again, the living heirs have the priority because it's our courts that anything goes through. All cases and all of that with regard to accidents and all of that goes through our court. And then we just send it to the inferior courts and tell them to enforce it. Okay, you liened them and notified them several times, but was there a way for them to even send the benefit?
Not yet.
Moors? No, you can't retire the corpse. Corpses cannot retire. So what you do is you put the real living natural person who wants to retire on the fiduciary document and retire her. So it's the same process, Empress. You do away with the corpse that they have been using, and then put into that action the real living natural person. And when you do that, they won't be able to come and tax your retirement and all of that, because our natural persons are not taxed. See, that is why we had the problems we were having previously, Moors, where we would go into a grocery store and say we're not taxed, and sometimes they would be like, no, we charge tax here. It's because we had not created a way for them to even do that, because their system can't do nothing because it ain't even their system. They're custodians of it, of our system. And that's where the issue comes in at, is they're custodians of our system. So we had to create the instruments that whereby we could use our system, namely the money, and then the electronic way to transfer the benefits that we are due. Okay. So the corpse goes to jail. Okay, the corpse goes to jail. The corpse is decapitated. That's why we lien the corpse, and that's why we do a court action on the corpse and say, corpse, nope, you can't pretend to be me. I'm me. And then we say, okay, all caps as issued by the Empire State, you get to retire with full benefits, and not only that, your retirement is not taxed. And that's how things are. That's how the benefits go back and forth. And then you create a merchant card for your retirement. And you send them a copy of it, of your merchant card, so that they will put it in the right place, not to be taxed. Okay. So you can create a merchant card for that, or you can just send them the documentation to, for it. But they still have to be liened, and the retirement piece has to be, it has to be stated properly. In other words, it has to be in the right state. Are there any questions? Any other questions? There were some questions in the chat. Forms and affidavits are like public and private banking. Yes. Whose side? That was not Empress Cynthia in the chat. That was not Empress Cynthia. That was a hybrid pretending to be her. Let's see. Yeah, that was a hybrid pretending to be her. Empress Light, how do you? Yeah, okay. Let's see. Let me make sure I got all of those. Oh, that's good. Innocent in the chat. That's good, Justice Empress Crystal. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure that we got as many of the questions as possible in the chat. Yes, yes, that's a great question. Empress Rose is saying, can she do the same thing for lifetime medical payout for workers' comp? Yes, you can. Because they owe you, you're the creditor to all of that. You're the creditor to all of that. Where medical and hospital bills and things like that are concerned, we must create merchant cards for that. We must. And for those who don't have any insurance in place already, that you can just do a reversion of estate on that benefit. If you ever have to go to a hospital, or if you've ever been to one and you have the documents, just look at the number, that the bank account number that they used to create the account, and make a merchant card and lien them. Lien them, make a merchant card, because you're the CEO of the hospital too. You're the CEO of any insurance. So you create that, and then you send it to them. And where for those who go to hospitals frequently, and again, we have things to where we can actually, avoid going. But for those who have to go, you need to have your card on file, a copy of your card on file. And that can be created from any bill, any past bill, with an account number on it. And you can create a merchant card for $100 million with that account number and the name of the hospital, because your fiduciary document takes care of that, so that you govern it and not anyone else. And then you can when you create that your merchant card for hospital and things like that, medical, you can then start dictating what you want done in terms of the highest quality natural remedies to be brought in for you. The highest quality natural remedies. Justice Consul, you can, or you can put, if you have a specific amount that you want to put on there, put it on there. I put 100 million on all of my cards. And that's being conservative. Yes, Justice Nabi, you can. You're encouraged to do that. Use old, any old insurance cards or numbers, because they have not assigned that to anyone else, because they knew that when we woke up, we were going to do a court action on the debt instrument and create credit instruments. They knew that. So I put 100 million on all my cards, all of them. And again, that's being conservative, because Morris, when I look past this process and see what's coming, 100 million is probably not going to be enough. 100 million is not going to be enough when you start talking about the quality of the things that we're going to have brought onto our land. And that we're going to be creating. We're going to be crafting and creating things too. But you're talking about in the grocery store, the finest of everything coming in for the Moors. The finest of everything. Staying in the best of the best hotels. And eating and having the best food and all of that. And then where travel is concerned, and airports and airlines, lean the airline, we know to do that. And then if you've ever traveled and there was a confirmation number assigned to that travel, you can create a $100 million merchant card with that confirmation number, but it's not that number because that's a debtor number. You want to create your fiduciary document and naturalize that resource. Okay? Naturalize that resource. Yes, you can. It's better to use account numbers. Okay? It's better to use account numbers, and even if you went in for a paper cut, they gave you a discharge letter that has an account number at the top of it. That account number can be used as you got to lean the debtor account number and then take that series of numbers and don't put any dashes or anything like that in them because we're not using debtor numbers, and then create your merchant card for 100 million. And then every time you use that service of whatever that service is, then you have as much as you need. It's always going to be better where medical things are concerned to get an account number, to lean an account number from a medical insurance place. For example, the veterans who are on the call, who are veterans who used to be in the military, you can use your social, not your social, you can lean the social and then create a card with that number, with your sovereign security number on it, and use that as your medical, to pay for medical. But you got to notify ahead of time. Always notify ahead of time. And then in your affidavit, you state the terms of your care. For example, where medical care is concerned, only the most natural ingredients, such as, in the IVs, they used to use salt water. Okay, well, we want sea salt in our IVs, sea salt water in our IVs, and things like that. Only natural ingredients. Because here's something that I'll just let you in on, this little secret right here. Anybody who has any disease, any heirs who have any diseases, and this actually probably goes for the hybrids too. If you're given an IV with natural sea salt and water in it, depending on how often you go to the restroom, it doesn't even matter. If you're fasting and you have an IV in you, whatever is in you is coming out. Whatever disease and whatever does not naturally occur is coming out. Sea salt, natural sea salt, not the stuff you buy at the store, but the stuff that you physically go out there and get from the saltwater bodies on the land. When you use that, it's like washing all of your cells clean. So it wouldn't even matter, you know, what was going on, cancer, all of that, because we all know, and we've all heard the story, that in the 1930s, someone had the quote-unquote cure for cancer, okay? And they said cancer cannot survive in an alkaline environment. Well, natural sea salt that we harvest off of our waterways, our natural waterways, or if you have salt rocks, because a lot of the mountains are made of salt rock, where you can just go up to it and chip it off, and it's salty. It's nothing but minerals. And when you put that with some water and you ingest it, it's going to wash all of your cells and anything that has to do with you. And especially if you do it while fasting, it doesn't even matter what's going on with you. It's going to correct, because the natural sea salt makes us alkaline. And we're not even going to talk about other things in nature like the sulfur and all of those things that when they come in contact with this carbon, ooh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Healing, 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 healing. Are there any other questions or comments about anything that we've spoken of today? Islam.
Jade Michael, Illinois Territory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you be dropping so many gems. I'm mulling over something you said, and then probably miss the next thing that you said. But I've been spinning about what we're doing with these deliriums when we give them to the custodian, you know, just how much, and when we, you know, do these commands. I was talking with some other Moors about it, and we just don't know what to send them, you know, and I guess we got some resistance to it, even though I clear up a lot of things, because I'm hearing that, okay, we're doing our own judgments now, right? Like, for instance, when my conveyance was taken away from me in 2018, I wanted to do you know, a lawsuit, a lien on the so-called policy enforcers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they're not getting any, you know, being reprimanded for disrespecting the Moors and all of this. We're just coming in paying for them or whatever when we do this. I mean, I'm just a little confused about, because I still, you know, I want my conveyance back. I haven't gotten that. You know, remedies like you're talking about, but we're providing our own remedies, and they're not paying for what they did, disrespecting us and all the other things that went down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, you know, aren't they supposed to be reprimanded or put in jail or whatever they did for disrespecting the heirs? Because, you know, we've got people that are in correctional facilities, as you know, here in Chicago, that we want for, you know, confiscating of their conveyances and all that. How do we make them pay for it, or should they? Or should we even be thinking about making them pay for damages that they did to an heir.
So I'll say it. I'll say it this way. They could not have done any damages to heirs if we would have stayed in our proper status. Yep. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So we have to accept responsibility for being the gods on the land.
I do. I clear that up.
And the gods on the land know that everything is under our control. So now what has to be done is our energy has to be cleared. We can't be mad at a bunch of subjects and a bunch of minors. That's like being mad at the child for spilling the milk, when all we had to do was put the milk up where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, all right, I'm understanding you create your own reality. I've been studying this for years, and we did all this for a reason. But it's just like the disrespect that Albion does with you. I can't help that. I don't like it, and I'm not going to like it. And I don't like that he does it, and he needs to be respectful.
But you got to know he's not talking to me. I know he's not talking to me. I also know that he's doing that to, see, listen, remedy comes when we clear our energy. They're going to do things that if we don't know who we are, it will cause emotions to arise. When those emotions arise, we must put them in check so we can continue to hear. They do that to get a rise out of you so that you will want revenge on them, or that you will say that, you know, they did something. See, to say that they did something that we were not in control of is to deny our godness. We were 100% in control of it. And if you think about it now, we got the remedy sitting right here, and it's still going to be people who still will not put the law in place and then complain when they get violated.
Okay, like for instance, when you get violated, I mean, we got to tolerate disrespect. I mean,
no, you don't. You have to do your due diligence on the things that you're doing. All courts have a court jester. So they're court jesters that we can put out at any time. If you pay attention to that, you'll miss something in the information that you need to free yourself. That's why that's done, is to distract you emotionally, mentally, and everything. And see, it's like what brother Mike Tyson said. He said that if someone does something and you allow them to change you, then they are your master.
Well, I remember.
They're changing your energy when they do things. Like, what do we expect monkeys to do? We created them. And court jesters. We created them.
Okay, so I just want to get back on track with what I was asking about. How much delirium should we send them? Now we send them merchant cards. I mean, should we send them a lot? Or, I mean, you're saying 100 million, you know.
If you want to tally up for each incident, for example, for this incident that this judgment that we just issued today, I could have created a merchant card for $20,000 based on, they said there was some bail and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. I could have created one and said those are my credits. I can do it that way. The only reason I didn't do it that way is because I'm thinking about all the other mores that are in there. And that merchant card can be used for quote unquote bail, because now we're paying the right way, and we're not paying. All we're doing is our courts are taking over, the Moors deserve to be free. So the merchant card will get the Moor where they need to be, and then our court will issue a ruling, and then that Moor gets a merchant card for $100 million.
So we can use it for bail, like we got somebody in there and they want bail.
It's really not bail that you're paying. All it is the more it. The bail is set in fiat.
Yes.
So you're using the system you're just creating a circular financial setting. And you're doing that by court action. So when you do it by court action, you're literally opening the doors of the jail for the Moors that are in there. That's what you're doing. By court action, you're setting them free. And not really setting them free, you're opening the doors of the jail. They can walk out whenever they get ready.
Is this the result of the recent Fiduciary situation? I mean, was this always there, but I mean, you're just using it because of the Fiduciary?
I don't know what's going on with the judiciary, because from my perspective, you all are the judiciary. We're all that's what these
Fiduciary, not judiciary.
Okay. Yes, it's the fiduciary document is part of that.
Okay.
Part of all of this.
Islam. Something stood out to me that the brother said. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
So something stood out to me that the brother said, because he said when we give them the delarium, we're paying them. So in my mind, that's saying that we're making them wealthy for what they're doing to us, because now we're paying them delarium. And so,
okay.
Clarify on that, because
yes.
He's been injured, and now we're paying him. So I think we need clarification on that.
Islam. Can I say
something,
Empress? I was thinking the same thing to the Empress that was just speaking. I was thinking the same thing, but when we put that lien in place, it's going to create some balance, and then they're going to hold back on doing all of that. So yeah, we're giving them exchanges, but there's also going to be a lien in place, so it's going to hold back on them just taking the Moors in any kind of way.
So I was going to say the same thing, but see, there's more. Okay, now know that this is remedy, but there's so much more coming after this, because if you listen, where violations are concerned, okay, at any time I can have the sheriff, the custodians in the office of sheriff to go and arrest anyone doing business as a policy enforcer. I could do that today based on the judgment that it was issued by the people. I could have the custodians in the office of the sheriff to go and arrest them. But then somebody's got to do the court actions on them. Well, why were they doing what they're doing, what they did? They were doing what they did because they thought that was their job, but it wasn't. They didn't have a charter from us. We needed to put constitutions on the public record. We needed to be governing. Now, at any time you can have them arrested. But who are you arresting really? Are you arresting a corpse or a subject? Because that's the real issue. When I hear more say things like, well, they got to pay for what they did. Who is it that's going to be paying? Is it going to be a corpse that you can easily just send the corpse spirit away and have a subject there? Because if you have everybody arrested, who's going to be the custodians? Are you going to do that? And that's okay, you can. That's not a problem. To me, there's more to it than getting back at them for what they did. There, as you can see, there's so many things that we had not done. We have to take responsibility for that. We have to take responsibility for the fact that our prophet Noble Drew Ali was here in 1928, and we're just now in 1443 just getting to this point right here. We as a people have to take responsibility for that. We have to take responsibility for our part in this. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, default judgment. Default means no fault. It's still a judgment. You still get the benefit of it.
Islam.
But we as a people needed to get it together. Take responsibility for that. Islam.
This is something that I'm thinking, that when Kanye West said that slavery was a choice, he was giving us the heads up right there.
Yes. We're the most powerful gods on the earth. No one can put us in a jail cell against our consent and our will. So as a people, we have to take responsibility for the fact that we're the ones who amalgamated. They couldn't even amalgamate without our consent. Couldn't even do it. Unless we said, and they weren't going to do it until we said, okay, commercially, we'll take your fiat. We're the most powerful gods ever to exist. All of that was a choice. All of it was a choice.
Yeah, because we chose to be sharecroppers too, right after the war.
That means that we decided that we were going to accept their capitalism and not govern our own affairs. So we can't even be mad at the subjects. And I'm not belittling them. They're subjects. But then there's a corporate spirit that got in them that was pretending to be the government. And we didn't even rebut that until now. And there were some Moors who were rebutting it. We were still asleep, so we weren't, until now. But we're rebutting nunc pro tunc, which means now for then. So we have to accept responsibility and just accept our authority and our power. And I'll tell you this, though, if and I'm not saying, Justice Jay, that you're stuck here, but what I am saying is Moors who feel like they got to get back at the subjects, you're allowing your emotions to keep you stuck so that you can't see that they didn't have a choice. They still don't have a choice. They have to do as their creator commands.
Islam.
They can't even naturalize themselves. They can't even stand up by themselves. We have to actually wake up and say, all rise and stand.
Islam.
Yes, Islam.
I clear a lot of that stuff up. I've been studying, mind science for years, and about you create your own reality and all of that. And one of my failings, I thought it was a failing, was that I forgave so easily because I don't really hang on to stuff. I'm not that type of a guy. I think all of these things are in place, including the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Is about behavior, right? Isn't that why we had the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? Because of the way we've been behaving, and to curtail some of that behavior, including the disrespect and all that. Now, like I said, I'm not harboring resentment to those policy enforcers because I just don't do that. That's not me. But I do feel something.
Yeah.
I say that I don't feel it, You know, when somebody rolls up on you and take your conveyance out from under your feet, and you're walking, and you're in the, you know, but you know, I understand what is being said, but isn't that about the behavior and, you know, all of this? It's about the way we treat each other. And if we're the heirs and they say, you know, if it's a line, they got to put you in the front of the line because you're the heir, you know, isn't that showing respect or via their behavior that hasn't been happening? You know, we've been getting stepped on here, you know.
Yes.
I mean, are we supposed to like it because we fail as God? You know, I mean, a lot of us are dealing with the situation that is at hand. You know, if they turn your phone off or your utility, you know, we got a problem. Are you happy about that? I'm not. You know, but I understand that we created it, but I'm not happy about it. And, you know.
Well, I don't think anybody's happy about it. I don't think anybody's happy about it. But by the same token, we cannot hold on to that and want to punish them for doing what they should have done because we, the gods, said that if we're not being ourselves, there's a price to pay for that. That was judgment on us for being out of line.
Yeah, we have to rise to our status. We have to raise our level.
Yes. Now, Justice, I'll say this. Now that we know who we are, those things won't even happen. If they were, I wouldn't be sitting here. You all have the numbers. Look up what they said about their corpse. Look at what they said about their corpse. They issued all types of madness about their corpse. I'm not mad at them for judging their corpse. I need to get it. I need to make sure I'm never their corpse and never claiming to be their corpse. I have to do that. I have to govern that. And that includes with regard to, you know, their military script. Listen, you know, we have to accept who we really are. And when we fully accept that nothing happens without our permission, then it will be easier to say default, no fault. We're not at fault, you're not at fault. This is a default judgment in favor of the Moors. Now, some are going to let that stop them from moving any further. Just by hearing me say that, some are going to be like, I'm never listening to light again. It's your estate. We're sovereign. We are the supreme rulers. No one does anything without our permission. And Justice Jade, now that you're in your proper status and all of that is reflected on the public record, seek ye first the kingdom or the empire, and all of that other stuff will be added. You'll see them get what you think they deserve. You'll see that. That will happen. But we cannot let that be our focus, and we can't let it stop us from moving forth and doing what we need to do. Because then they keep you looking back instead of looking forward. You're looking back at this happened, and I'm trying to see if they're going to get what I think they have coming. Of course they're going to get what's due them, just like we're getting what's due us. But we, you know, our focus has to be on moving forward. Some may not like that, and, you know, but we've been speaking about clearing energy and continuing to clear energy because that's where the answers come from. I'll just tell you that. You know, that the answers come from clear energy, not being mad at anybody, knowing that we're the gods. Nobody does anything without our permission. No one moves. Nothing moves. And do you know the sun will stand right there in the sky if we don't, it will never move. If we didn't say, oh, we love sunset. Okay, then the sun says, okay, I got to set every day because they love sunset. So with that being said, there's another question I think Justice Jade wants me to get off of this soapbox and get on to another one. So he put another question in the chat. It says, is there any sources for genuine sea salt? Yes, we're the source of genuine sea salt. So the sea salt that I use, I actually go out to Saltwater State Park and I collect the water. I bring it home and I boil it down. Now, with my merchant card, though, we're going to put all of that on high. So we'll be producing some sea salt, some natural sea salt for the heirs as part of our commercial and merchant endeavors. And I'm glad you asked that question, Justice Jade, because the merchant cards are actually so that we get what we need to put our own commerce into full fruition. So the purpose of the card being 100 million is because I'm going to need some equipment to do sea salt on a massive scale, because we plan on shipping sea salt everywhere because the heirs need it. I mean, the more I use it, the more I see that we all need it. You know, so I get my genuine sea salt myself from down the way, because the sea salt in the stores is not natural, because the stores can't produce anything natural. Oh, that's another thing, Justice Jade. Thank you for asking that question too. With these merchant cards, for example, the Safeway merchant card that I showed you, or the Safeway card that's there, that we're going to create merchant cards and do a reversion of the state on that benefit. We can then have them to bring in genuine sea salt, because our brothers and sisters on the other lands make it. I've seen them doing it, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful process. Some of them literally swim down to the bottom of the ocean and pull up pink sea salt, and they lay it out in the sun to dry. So we can order that using merchant cards, and that's what I was saying. The cards are probably need to be 100 million, because you're talking handcrafted, original, indigenous, genuine sea salt coming from someplace else to here until we can get our own up and running. So, and that's pricey, you know. The things that we make, because it's made by sovereign hand, is pricey. We need a large, vast estate and large amounts of wealth to get the things we need that help raise our vibrations. So, yes, Islam Empress.
Yeah, this is Karima Bay, Virginia Beach Territory, Virginia Republic. I just wanted to say for the record to all the Moors on the call that I get what Empress Light is saying intellectually, but emotionally I'm struggling with the same thing as everybody else. Yeah. I've lost, I've lost things too. So I don't want to make it seem like, that I'm struggling emotionally too with all that's been going on with me and with us. Islam.
Yeah. So Empress, I hear and I want you all to know that I feel I see why you're feeling that way. I see why you're feeling that way. That's what I want to say. I see why you're feeling that way. we have the authority to not only get back what was lost, but get 10 more or 15 or 50 more of what we lost. We have the authority and the resources to do that right now. Okay? And in the ancient records, it says that everything that you lost during the tribulation time period, you will get it back, some 30, some 60, and some 100-fold. And then in different parts of the ancient writings, it says you'll get back 7 times what you lost, and then 7 times 70 of what you lost. Yes, we've been through some traumatic events. Now, let me make it clear that in 2017, when I went to the POW camp for 20-some days, and then, you know, the POW demonstrations, and then hearing the demonstrations of Moors, that touches my heart. That's why we're doing all the things that we're doing. That's why we do the study. We have chosen to channel that could have turned into anger or really wanting to, you know, to struggle about what to do about those who did those things. But we've made the choice, because it's a choice. Even emotions are a choice. Even the struggle is a choice. We have chosen to clear that energy so we could keep getting answers from the ancestral energies. We've chosen to clear the energy. We had to, or else you know, a part of our vision gets blurry when we have energies that are counter to what we would naturally feel. You know, so I get the struggle, Moors. I get it. I get it. Islam.
Cynthia Ann Bay here. I'm one of those too. I'm out here and I'm struggling to get my office together, and and then they've made every effort in their system for me not to have any notes so I can go get these things taken care of. And then, you know, I spend my days thinking, how can I get enough notes in order to buy the equipment, in order to be able to distribute Delorium. I mean, it feels maddening. So but at the same time, but what has happened to me through it was a foreclosure, and it was brutal, and that's been 5 years now. It feels like yesterday. So I'm carrying it too. I understand how you all are feeling, but I realize if I concentrate on that, it will eat me alive. Because I did nothing wrong. I played their game just the way they wanted me to play it. I didn't, you know, I paid the so-called bills. And but when I decided to ask them who they are, you know, they came down on me. It was, like I said, it wasn't a lot of fun. So I realized either I die with anger for what they've done to me and my heirs, or I show up every week, learn every freaking thing that I can learn about the system, about me, and then my extended family, you all. I'm in heaven. So I've been able to put that stuff aside. I'm not saying I'm not in pain from that, but I can put it aside. But now all this beautiful work has been, you know, been availed to me. I'm so fortunate. So right now I see this as temporary. I live in a small 19-foot trailer, and part of my family sleeping in a van. So I'm living it too. But at the same time, I don't have all of their corporate stuff coming down on me, you know, pay the credit card, pay this, pay all, with the liens and all that stuff. I don't deal with that anymore. The only problem I have right now is a lack of funds, and look like, here we are right now, we are creating this. So I use my energy that they have done these horrible things to me and my family, and I even videotape what they did to us that day, but I take that energy to drive, to get this done, get this work done, and then it won't happen to anybody else if I do this work. So it's about me, and then from me, then my extended family, all the Moors. This won't happen anymore if I do this work, and I take full responsibility for it and myself. Anyway, thank you for listening. Islam, Grand Rising.
Wow. Yes. Beautiful. You know what? It takes spirit work to get that energy dealt with among us. It takes spirit work. It takes some spiritual work. Because I'll say this, any energy that causes us discomfort, it's going to take some spirit work to deal with it. It doesn't matter what that energy is. I've just decided that I don't want to be uncomfortable anymore. Because I'll share my own little story with that. My heiress, because I only have one heiress, and my heiress, you know, she is hesitant, highly hesitant about more science because she saw mother in jail about it on more than one occasion. So even now she is somewhat hesitant about it because that was traumatic for her. How does that make me feel? I could boil in that for a minute because I know this is what we should be doing. You know. So I can relate to what you're saying, but her feeling like that gave me even more motivation to prove, not to anyone else, but to me. And I just want to be able to show her that, yes, this was absolutely what we should be doing. Because I know the law. I know the law. And I'm not going to waste my energy on, I didn't want to waste my energy on hybrids. And I'm not putting anybody down. That's what they are. That's what they are. I was not going to waste my time on that and my energy on that because I knew the ancestors wanted that energy for something else. And I knew that if I let any energy block them giving us these keys, that it would delay, and I did not want the delay. So I made up in my mind that no matter what, I'm going to keep clearing energy and keep clearing energy and keep clearing energy until I get what our ancestors have for us, because our ancestors sacrificed a lot. And if we think we went through something, wait till you hear their stories. Wait till you hear the stories of the ancestors. And you have to hear those stories from an ancestral position because a lot of them left early because of what they went through. Their lives were taken. And they said, you know what? I will gladly lay down my life for the heirs that's coming. Because the heirs that's coming they're gonna nip all of that stuff in the bud, including the spirit work. So emotions and even feeling like, you know, like you want to be mad at them, you know, when that policy enforcer in 2017, when he bent my arm back and bent my finger to try and see if he could get me to fight or resist or something like that, that made me angry. But I said, I'm not going to miss because I know the law and I know our ancestors. I know that emotional piece, because if you think about what they show on television, all they showed was people getting murdered and shot up and all of that. So that ought to tell you that they want some emotion from you. And I don't think they're worth it. I don't think they're worth that. I think our heirs are worth our 100% everything. That's just how I've chosen to deal with, you know, my heiress feeling a certain way, my consort feeling a certain way, you know, because nobody likes to see their loved ones taken and taken again, you know. And I wasn't taken the last time. The last time I said I'm going straight for that right there, because I know y'all don't have jurisdiction over me. I know that. But we're going to let the public record is going to show that. So, you know, that's my choice. That's how I've chosen to deal with it. And now that I see what our ancestors really wanted us looking at, that was all a part of it. All of that was a part of it. That was part of the test that says, are you fit to govern? And we all are. We're fit to govern. But can we issue judgment and justice in an unbiased manner? This is the estate that we're governing. We have to do that in an unbiased. We can't. The justices, we have to be unbiased on the bench, you know, as we stand on the bench. So I know that it's not the most popular thing to say and all of that, but when you see what the ancestors, why, because see, and here's the thing, the ancestors had those things to happen. So the ancestors did that because they wanted to test us to see if we are fit to govern. Or were we going to let emotions get in the way? Or were we going to let, you know, fiat get in the way? Or, you know, all of that, those things. And I told them, no, I'm not letting anything stop me. Nothing. Nothing. Because there's a spiritual component to this that we are remedying and providing restitution for. So I wasn't going to let them stop me. And I said, well, ancestors, I just asked the ancestors to heal any hurt or issues that my heiress and my consort have about this process. Heal that as we continue the ministry work. And they said, we got you. We'll do that. We'll do that. You just stand. Keep your energy clear and stand, and we'll do the rest. And they're doing it. We got this. Yes. Yes, we got this. We got this. Islam. Are there any other questions or comments? I didn't think we were going to go this long today, but I don't mind. Islam, Empress.
Justice J mentioned he wants his conveyance back. Aren't we supposed to create new businesses? Doesn't he need a new conveyance?
He can get the old one back, because guess what? The old one is still the one that he had that they took. Do you have the VIN number? All you got to do is put it on the public record that that's yours. Create and do the court action and create a merchant card, and then tell them to go get it. Because see, I'll say this about that. A lot of times they act like they sold something, but our property is unalienable and inalienable. And if someone else has it, it will be taken from them and given back to you, to the rightful owner, just like everything else is. Because the land and all of that, we're the rightful owners of all of this. Mm-hmm. And not only can he get that one back, but he can also get new ones. So we get to do both if we want to do both. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes.
I see what you're saying, Empress, because when a few days ago, I went back and I took a look at who's living on my property. And at first it was what I came up with was my name and all the work I had done. you know, the liens and all that stuff. That I don't see that anymore. But what I see now is my consort's name. Somebody else is on my property. Their name, whoever it is, they're not showing up. So it's my consort's name, and then they have my appellation as someone who lived there. But actually, the property was in my name. So now I can tell that whole thing is, the whole line of that property is messed up, because they're not showing any other so-called owner but my consort, and that's 5 years ago. That's recent stuff. I just pulled up on the internet. So I just want to say, yeah, that's true. Islam.
Yeah. Our property it won't go anywhere. It's gonna stay right there and wait for us to claim it properly. So where your property is concerned, Empress, you just need to notify them that the sovereign-born appellation, your sovereign-born appellation, is a state instrument of the living sovereign state. See, a lot of times they use their instruments until another instrument is presented that is lawful and proper. So the all caps is what they're looking for, something on that. Because see, either they're going to act in corporate status, or when you lien them, they'll be the custodians of that which is already yours. So when they're in custodial status, then the all caps, they know how to put things in and out of the system and move things around with that. Okay? But it has to be creditor capitalism and not debtor capitalism.
Okay, all right.
See, people think that, you know, sometimes people think that to say that you're the creditor is a matter of you out there yelling you're the creditor. No, you don't have to do that. There's a proper process and procedure by which states take property. They take property by using their own capitalism to do it. That's what makes a state a state. Is those sovereigns that are in the state, or that are the state rather, not in it, but who are the state, properly state their capitalism and properly rebut fraudulent capitalism. So when you say you're the fiduciary to the all caps name, and that the court actions that they're doing with regard to the property, that the true natural person be put in those court actions, then there's no such thing as ruling against the heirs, because you will have already done the ruling, and then you send it to declare that or proclaim that the custodians enforce. Now, on the treaty, now look at this, Morris, because this is important. The treaty says that whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted to him. That this is the part right here where proper stating that you're the real sheriff, and you're telling any custodians to leave the premises, or you even say that you're the sheriff, and that the custodians in the office of the sheriff are to go and secure the property. That you've secured it already, they just need to do their custodial duties with regard to how you secured that property. They will do it. That's what this is. Requiring any aid or assistance from our government. Who's the government? We are. That means consuls get what they need because the real sheriffs say so. And here it says, our government to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted. What's a grant? A grant, more, is appropriation of the services. A grant is appropriation of custodians in the office of the sheriff. That's how they get paid. So we had to create the mechanism so that this could be true. So that Article 20 of the treaty, we can make that happen. And any aid or assistance is granted. That grant happens by way of constitutional appropriation. And constitutional appropriation happens by way of a quo warranto, mandamus restitutio, writ affidavit by the government with some dolarium or a merchant card attached. And the merchant card is actually, in my opinion, now it's backed by dolarium, which was necessary, but the merchant card is a way that the credits can go back and forth so that the custodians in the office of the sheriff can get what they need in order to go and clear the properties. Now, I'll say this too. There is a 14th great writ, and I had to do some more study on it before I said anything about it. But the 14th great writ that we've not talked about yet, that can only come from an Article 3 court, is a writ for entry. The writ for entry is the writ that you send to the custodians in the office of the sheriff, and because you're the head sheriff, you tell them, go and enter the property and ensure that there are no occupants there. So that's the 14th great writ. Why is it the 14th instead of the 2nd or the 3rd? Because the 2nd and the 3rd and all of that needs to come first. The quo warranto, mandamus restitutio, all that needs to be in place first. Then a writ for entry once the financials have been taken care of, and there's a merchant card on file, then the writ for entry can be executed. So we'll do some study, we'll do some discussion on the writ for entry in the coming days and weeks on how to execute that.
Yay, thank you.
We just needed to look at all the documents we had to get first. We had to get all of that stuff right first before we could then send and grant the aid and assistance from our government to the consuls and justices. Those things needed to be done first.
I agree.
And now that they're done, yes. And there's even more after the writ for entry. There's more after that. The ancestors are taking us line by line and precept by precept, giving us a little here and a little there and saying, okay, we've given you this, go ahead and demonstrate that. We'll be with you while you demonstrate it. Go ahead and demonstrate it peacefully. It is a wrap. We got this, period. Period. It's a wrap. And again, Morris, I feel you on struggling with the things that have happened to you. But if anyone can get past it, the gods can. And when I say get past it, however you choose to deal with it, because you're sovereign. Some Moors choose to work through that process slowly. Okay. Some Moors have decided, I'm one of the Moors that decided, we're not going to even worry about that because we already know our ancestors got that part taken care of. Our ancestors are sensitive about people hurting us, just so that y'all know that. They're very sensitive about people mishandling us. Us being in our proper status and being properly proclaimed everywhere and with proper notification and due process and our courts and our money in place, they're not going to let anybody mishandle us. So those who are looking at those things, take a good long look, because that stuff ain't never happening no more. That's going to be such a distant memory that it's going to be like giving birth. You forget the pain you had from giving birth once you see the baby. It's like that. You know, so please don't think that I'm insensitive to that. I've been there. I mean, my heiress she was like, Mom, what the heck is going on? Do I like seeing her like that? No. It just motivated me further. I could have gotten timid and said, you know what? I'm going to play it a lot safer, and I'm not going to, because I don't want her to have to go through that, but that's just not me. We have an estate to govern. And when you're talking about dealing with other nations even, we have to be prepared for all of that. You know, so I get it. And I'm sending sovereign, peaceful, strong, comforting energy to those that are struggling with what happened to you and the trauma that you went through. Because we've all been traumatized. Part of even my being able to release that energy is I know that trauma changes cells. And for us, trauma makes us stronger. It doesn't weaken us, it makes us stronger. And that's why the ancestors chose trauma for some of us to deal with. Because if anyone can rise up and conquer trauma, those feelings of trauma, it's the heirs. We're strong. We're very strong. So, with that being said,
Islam?
Yes, Islam.
Yes, I want to thank Justice Jay for releasing this energy today, and
Yes.
I hope he feels better.
Yes. Yes.
Islam is Empress. Thank you. Islam.
Yes. That's actually going to be a part of, our process too, is healing from that. And now we have the resources to provide the healing to ourselves and to our nation. That is something that, many more specialize in the healing arts and the healing sciences. So we're setting up for all of that. We're going to manifest the healing. So those who are feeling that energy, start thinking about what it would take for you to heal from that, so that we can hear and then manifest that together as a nation. Let's manifest the healing. We need some healing for our nation. We've been through a lot. And, we made it through. We're here. So let's just keep going. We got this. So with that being said, are there any other questions, comments? And again, we are on October the 28th, 29th, and 30th of this year. We are having a constitutional convention and gathering here at West for all Moors. And it is our preference that you prepare to use your cards. And we're going to use ours even leading up to that, so that we perfect the use of our cards where travel and things like that are concerned, So be prepared or preparing to access your vast estate in the way that where we have no lack at all.
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
Raymond Bay L here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, speaking of traveling, you said travel, do you have a travel document on file that I can't find? Because I don't seem to have it anywhere. I don't see it anywhere. I want to put
When you say a travel document, what do you mean?
travel affidavit.
Mm-mm.
No, I remember you were speaking on it once before. That's what I was asking. So.
Justice Abbasi has some travel documents. They did a right to travel demonstration where they've been doing that. Justice Abbasi has that. I don't have one right now because I'm still looking at that process from the delarium standpoint and the merchant card standpoint. And when we write it up, we're going to, of course, share it and then demonstrate it.
Okay, great. Okay, I yield. Islam. Thank you.
Islam. We mean business about this estate, and we mean business about our money and our merchant cards and all of that. We mean business. The Moors should not be in lack at all, ever. And we're not going to be, ever. So, that being said, we will adjourn here, and we will come back on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern to continue demonstrating our sovereign status, Islam. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign original indigenous Moors, Islam.
Peace and grand rising, Islam.
Islam.
Grand rising.
Grand rising, Moors. Islam.
Grand rising, Moors.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Islam.
Peace and love.
We made it.
Peace and love to the Moors.
Islam, Empress. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was wondering if you could check your email. I was wondering if you can create my merchant card.
I can. Yes, I can.
I sent.
I just haven't gone through the documents that you sent. I have not taken the opportunity to go through them, but I will take the time to do them. And that's another reason why I don't generally volunteer to do things, because there's so much to do. You know?
That's why I'm hesitant to ask, because
yeah.
I don't know what happened with the machine that I was working with. We sent it back, and they won't. Amazon sold out of the ones that they had, so
they did.
Yeah, well, for that, that's what they're saying. So. But they have others that cost more. They're higher prices than the one that we chose. So.
Okay. Okay.
Empress, I was going to ask you the same thing. This is Karima Bay in Virginia territory, because I don't have any sovereign credits coming in, and I don't have the fiat, so I'm not able to get the machine.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you as well.
I'm getting the sense, and this is just, I don't like to presume things when it comes to the ancestors, but I'm getting the sense that they may want to, they may want to start that process off here. And then, they may want us to print up the cards, for everyone. I'm getting that sense that that might be what's going on. I don't know. But yeah, we will print them up, but give us some time to do it, because we want to make sure that we stay on track, and I don't want to get into a whole lot of administrative work individually just yet. I want to get us into our building and get us situated first. That's really what I'm waiting for, and we have what we need to do that now. So we plan on doing all that needs to be done with regard to the cards and all of that as the ancestors lead us, we want to get into our building and get spread out so we can have everything done in an orderly manner. Yeah, and we have what we need to do that now. Yeah. So. All right, Empress. Yes, we will do it. The answer is yes. Anyone whose cards we have to do, we will do them.
Thank you.
Just give us some time to do that. We plan on being set up here shortly in the next few days and weeks, and it's going to be an ongoing process. However the ancestors want us to do it, we'll do it. So, Islam, peace and grand rising.
Peace and grand rising. Thank you.
Islam. You're welcome. Islam.